Clint Eastwood sat calmly in the chair, his signature squint fixed on the reporter across from him. The room was filled with journalists eager for a headline, but no one was prepared for what was about to unfold. The press conference had started like any other. Eastwood, now in his 90s, but still as sharp and confident as ever, was promoting his latest film. Questions were being thrown at him, some about his career, some about his legendary status in Hollywood. But then a reporter from a well-known liberal media outlet decided to push things in a different direction. With a smug smile, the reporter leaned forward, microphone in hand. "Mr. Eastwood, many people believe that your movies promote outdated, toxic values. In today's progressive world, do you feel your style of filmmaking is still relevant? Or do you think it's time to step aside for a new generation that embraces inclusivity and modern values?" A hush fell over the room. A few other reporters exchanged glances, some smirking, expecting Eastwood to struggle with the question. After all, Hollywood had changed. The industry was more politically charged than ever, and Eastwood's no-nonsense traditionalist approach wasn't exactly in line with the current cultural climate. But Clint Eastwood was not a man easily rattled. He didn't lean back, didn't fidget, didn't even blink. Instead, he let the silence stretch just long enough to make the reporter shift uncomfortably in his seat. And then in that deep, unmistakable voice, he spoke. "I tell stories," Eastwood said simply. "I don't chase trends. I don't make films to please Twitter. I make them because they matter." The room stayed silent, waiting for more. The reporter, clearly expecting a different response, opened his mouth to interject. But Eastwood wasn't finished. "You see," he continued, his gaze locked on the reporter, "good storytelling doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't get replaced because someone decides they don't like it. The audience decides. And if you think a man my age is worried about being relevant, then you don't know a damn thing about me." A ripple of laughter spread through the room. The reporter's smirk was gone, replaced with a stiff expression. But Eastwood wasn't done yet. "I've been in this business longer than you've been alive," he said, his voice steady but firm. "I've seen new generations come and go. I've seen critics try to tear down movies only for those same movies to become classics. And I've seen a lot of people spend too much time worrying about what's acceptable instead of what's true. You know what happens to those people?" The reporter didn't answer. He didn't have to. Eastwood leaned forward slightly, his eyes never leaving his target. "They get forgotten." The silence was deafening. Even the other journalists seemed frozen, as if they had just witnessed a gunfight in an old western. The reporter, visibly flustered, shuffled his notes and tried to move on, but it was too late. The damage was done. Clint Eastwood had once again proved why he was a legend, not just in film, but in life. He didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to get angry. He simply did what he had always done, stood his ground, spoke his truth, and left his critics scrambling for words. As the press conference wrapped up, Eastwood stood, tipped his hat, and walked off the stage, leaving the reporter sitting there, humiliated, speechless, and very much forgotten.